Hey guys, welcome back to the Degrassi series. I believe this episode is going to be season 1 and 2, about season 1 and 2, and my deep dive or exploring those seasons. I feel like these videos are going to be kind of long, so if you're not really a big Degrassi fan or you don't never watched Degrassi, it's fine. I'll try to leave spoilers out, but it's kind of difficult in a way. But I'll leave a Degrassi playlist in the description if you wish to watch and see what I'm actually talking about, or if you've already seen the show, you just haven't seen it in a long time. I also did not watch Degrassi as a kid or like grew up on it like a lot of people. I'm still kind of growing, I guess. And I just during the quarantine, I was like, let me go into it. And cause I used to see the reruns on TV, but my mom and dad never let me watch it on TV because I was too young, and they were like, these topics probably aren't okay for you, which honestly that's true. That's true. Um, they were like, they're probably like 12 or something in these episodes, 12 to 13 or something, and I was probably like 7 when these episodes used to rerun. I was not alive when this show first started, for perspective, by the way. But, yeah, let's get started into the episode. Okay, or the season. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna start off on season 1. Okay, the first 2 episodes are the pilot are kind of, I don't know. I just feel like they're important, but not really because they don't really show up in the show. It's just more of introducing some characters and showing the older characters from the original Degrassi. Because if you didn't know, Degrassi is like a Canadian show that's based on the older show, the original Degrassi High and Degrassi Junior High, and Emma is actually Spike's daughter, and Spike was in the original Degrassi, and she got pregnant at 14, or was it younger? I don't actually know that much Degrassi Junior High, but she is the little baby that used to pop up or whatever in some episodes or in something, and so they decided, hey, let's make a show with Emma's generation, which I think is a genius idea, actually. They should really do that again, or they should try to do that again with, like, some other people, or they should have brought back Tori. Instead of Tori, bring back Angela, because she was the same actress. That's just a thought, to be honest. But the first 2 episodes are they're good. They're like, they have the main A stories, I feel like, is the reunion, but the kids' story is like more of a B, which is not really okay for like our first episode, I guess. I feel like it's not as pivotal. Emma did get caught by a creeper, a predator. Like, it was crazy. It was insane, but I loved it. I was like, oh, I gotta watch this more. They got drama like that, and just like Snake, or Mr. Simpson hitting like the dude and catching him was insane. Hello, it was absolutely insane. And then there was like, I feel like some parts of that show up in Emma's personality later on. Like when she was with Jay, she made that same face she did in the episodes, I guess. Hmm. Episode 3, let's go. I'm just running by episodes at this point, and then I'm gonna probably summarize season 1. But episode 3 is about like Ashley and Toby, because Toby, if he's on the first episode, like Toby was the kid that moved in, and he was the new kid. He was touring the school, and JT was like, "Oh, we went to camp together, bro," and they're like, "Yeah, we went to camp." And Toby's the one who's like, I can hack into her email and just goes, "What's her password?" Like, no. Like, Toby was that kid. He was the dude who was on the computer. He's considered the computer nerd, or the nerd in general in the group, I guess. But he was more of a main focus in these seasons. So, but Ashley is an older kid. She's like a year older. She's grade 8, I believe, and they're grade 7s. So that was sus. It's a pretty good episode. It captures new siblings well, I feel, because when you haven't had a sibling before, you don't know how to really deal with a sibling. I feel, and especially if they're close in age to you, you wouldn't really know how to react to them. And I feel like that Toby and Ashley both took different approaches. Ashley was trying to be nice to him, and Toby was like, "Well, I don't want to be here. I think we should be It could be your mom. It could be your dad. It could be my dad." Like, he would point out that they were not siblings at all. They were not blood siblings, and that they were just step siblings. And he completely disliked it, and ran into her middle of the race of her being class president. And I thought that was kind of rude, but also little brotherish. So I was like, I see it. Until he like got JT to back out of the race, and he was like, "Nah, how about no? Let's not. It's kind of not cool. Let's just not do that." And then I think the B plot was like Emma and Manny, and then Spinner was bullying them, which funny because later Spinner dates Manny, and I'm just like, and then marries Emma. Oh my god, there's so much. There's so much in the show. That's why I think it's hilarious. Okay, the fourth episode. This is a Terry-centered episode. It's the episode where Terry, and Paige are hanging out, and Spinner likes Terry, but doesn't like Paige, but Paige likes Spinner, and Terry's just like, "I feel too fat," which, not true. "I feel too fat to be even considered for his girlfriend or be around him like that." And she was just like, I feel like she wanted to date him, but she was just in her own insecurities, and that messed her up. But in that episode, Paige gets her drunk, and they go to the dance, and Spinner's like, "Hey, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, what's wrong?" And she's all acting crazy, and then she has the tumble. And she falls, and she runs out, and then later on in the episode, Spinner, no, like, you can't tell, like, he doesn't like her anymore, and he starts dating Paige, or at least seems to start dating Paige. I don't know. I don't know why I feel like their timeline of dating is so fuzzy, because in the next season, he's like asking Paige out, and I'm like, what? I thought y'all were already dating. It was kind of confusing. It's like the start of the relationship, but not really, like they're talking, I guess. They're like in a talking stage. And that was all because she made Terry drunk, and that was kind of messed up. I do like Paige as a character, but season 1 was not good for Paige. Well, she did help a little bit, with like the younger kids. I think that was a good redeeming quality that she had, but that was kind of it, because in the first 2 seasons, I feel like she was bad. She was like a mean girl, and then the third season, she's like maturing, and then keeps going on, and then she's like a good character. So the 5th episode is like Parents' Day. It's centered around Toby again. So Toby's parents are divorced because Toby's dad is married to, or dating or married to Ashley's mom. So that's thought of in the episode. And Toby doesn't want them to go to Parents' Night or Parents' Day, because they used to argue a lot in front of him, or they used to argue so much to the point where he didn't feel comfortable or things like that, and he just does not want them to come. Which, honestly, if your parents argued like that, like the way they did in public, I would be like I wouldn't want hesitant to want him to go somewhere in public together. I feel like if the dad would have just gone, because he's local, that would have been a little bit more like a thing. But I don't know, maybe they wanted both parents to go. But Sean didn't have both parents there. He didn't have either of his parents there. He had his brother, and he was just like, I guess maybe there's different things there. I don't know. I'm not Canadian, so I don't know. Maybe it's a thing that actually happens with their school. But I know if we have like parent teacher night at my school, they don't really care if 2 parents come or 1 parent. They usually be like, yeah, you're here. All right, let's talk about your kid. That's kind of it. And then the parents end up arguing, and Toby's like, "Can you guys stop? This is why I don't want y'all to come." And I was like, "Yes, Toby. Yes. Yes." Toby stood up for himself, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, that was good." The mating games. Episode 6. Okay, this is about Jimmy and Ashley. Jimmy, who is also Drake, by the way. Younger Drake, Drizzy, Champagne Poppy, OVO. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. But Jimmy and Ashley are dating, and it's their 8th-month anniversary, and they're thinking about doing the do, and they're like, should we do it, or is it too early? And they're just like, should we? I don't even know. But then Toby, and that's the B plot line is like Toby and is trying to get close to Emma, but she's like she wants Sean. She wants Sean at this point. I can't remember which episode Sean was introduced. I feel like it was the last episode or the episode before that. But she is on Sean. She said, Poppy? Okay. But Jimmy and Ashley's relationship is the main focus right now. So Jimmy and Ashley want to do it, and the what's the lady, like the lady comes in to talk to them about sex and everything. They're like, and they're just like, so should we do it? And Spinner asks, so my friend has been dating this girl for 8 months, but obviously everyone already knew them because they're like 8 months, and they're apparently the longest dating kids in the school. That's so funny. They really just be dating for 8 months, and everyone automatically knows it's them. But then Ashley gets mad at Jimmy for telling Spinner, and then they're like, they have a talk, and they're not like, and they order they both get condoms, and they're like, should we do this? And they're in the bedroom, they're like, nah. And they start using the condoms as balloons, which I thought was kind of funny. And Toby was angry. He was like, girls are overrated. Don't talk to girls. And he was, cause Emma didn't like him back, and he was just at the house like, bro, y'all suck. Girls suck. And he walked away. That's the funniest part of the entire episode. I don't know why. Episode 7, what the heck? Basketball Diaries. Oh, that. Basketball Diaries. Okay. This episode is about Jimmy wanting to be go on the basketball team, but he focuses it affects his studies too much, and he's like, I don't know what to do. And Spinner, who has ADHD, I believe, takes Ritalin, and he has to take Ritalin every day to like balance him out and stuff like that. And usually Ritalin is I think it's like a speed, I believe. And Jimmy asks, he goes, hey, can I have your pill for so that I can like be faster? And Spinner's like, this is my last pill, so if I don't take this now, I will literally be all over the place, so I don't think it's a good idea. And then Jimmy's like, come on, man, I'm your boy. And then Spinner gives it to him. And then at the basketball game, Jimmy's acting all crazy, Spinner's acting all crazy, and the coach is like, something's up here. It's obvious. And Jimmy is going around the court. He's stealing the ball from his own teammates, Sean. And I think he ended up pushing Sean and breaking his ankle or hurting him some way where he couldn't get up, and he was sitting on the court, just like sitting there. And he was like, and he was like, I think Jimmy was like cheering about getting the basket, but everyone was helping Sean after he stole the ball from him. And I was like, that's messed up. And then I think later, I'm just gonna say this, later on, I think later on that when Sean and Jimmy are like arguing or something, he tells Jimmy tells Sean, like, you faked that injury back in grade 8 or something, like on the basketball team. And it's like, dude, you pushed him down and he almost broke his ankle and he was faking it. Okay. But Jimmy doesn't make the team because of this, and he's like not on the team that year, I guess. They didn't really talk about that actually. How he didn't make the team, really. They just kind of brushed over it. And now Spinner has to take his pills in front of Raditch. Why did I say Radcliffe? Raditch. He has to take his pills in front of the principal now. This is gonna go. These are like, I feel like y'all can skip over each one, but if you want to hear the summaries of these, it's fine. Soon I'll give my own thoughts though. So yeah. So episode 8 is like about Ashley's dad coming home, and her dad comes out, like, he tells her the reason why the mom and the dad aren't together. And because when the mom and dad are together, they're like really kind and like chummy to each other. They're not like Toby's parents. They're like happy with each other, and they're trying to tell. And he tells Ashley, "Hey, I'm gay. That's why we weren't together. I was with a dude in Europe. That's where I was, in like London the whole time." So yeah, and then Ashley decides to be like, "Nah, I'm not doing this, homie. You can be gay all you want, but I'm dipping." And she doesn't talk to her dad and stuff like that. And also the B storyline, oh my god. It's Liberty and JT. JT doesn't want Liberty to like her. And they like him, and they hear about Ashley's dad being gay. And so this is the funniest, I feel like this would get canceled now, but it was funny. JT pretends to be gay to avoid Liberty's crush, and he says the most iconic line, which I'm going to insert right here.
Time to cement the deal. Hey, Liberty girlfriend.
Maybe you should tone it down.
With no context. And he just does the strut and everything, and I was like, JT, stop right now. And Liberty's just like, I don't think he's gay, but I'll take his word for it. And she just kind of doesn't really think about it. But, I'm wheezing right now. But anyways, Ashley goes through the days and is like, my dad's gay and everything like that, and I don't know. And at first she's like, she didn't like that he was gay, but then she doesn't care about the gay part. She cares about that he cheated on the mom with a dude and had the dude in her house and in the house with them, and had the dude just up in the house, just all over, which is understandable. I would get kind of mad too if I found out my parent cheated and I met them, and I think he took them to the zoo with the dude. Like, I'll be a little sus. I'd be like, what do you mean you cheated on this with him after I met him? Like, I'll be a little mad. I don't know how the mom was able to continue to be cordial with him. The fact that he cheated and had like a whole, and introduced the dude to their kid. Like, I don't know. Her mom's different. This episode is about Jimmy. Okay, Jimmy's parents are working a bunch, and he's always at Ashley's, because obviously if his parents aren't home all the time, he's got to be somewhere else. And Ashley's family is close, and he's like, yeah, we're all having fun, and we're all vibing. But Ashley's like, he's smothering me. I don't want him in my space. I just want to break up with him. And it's his birthday. Like, dang, bro. And the B storyline is Emma getting her first period, which this is the episode that I was talking about, that Paige was like nice to the young kids. She gave her a pad and was like, yeah, you're growing up, but you don't automatically stop being a kid, so just be a kid. And she was like, but you'll never be as cool as Paige, which is facts. New year, new look, new Paige. But Anyways, back to the A storyline. I think this episode is interesting because it really shows that not all kids' parents, or not everyone, has loving families. I don't know why I think this, but because even though Jimmy's rich, he's always home alone. Like, even on his birthday, his parents never didn't come home. They didn't call. They just left him a note and said we had to work, and that was kind of it. And Ashley stepped into his house for the first time and was like, "Oh, you're home alone all the time? Like, this is why you have people over all the time, or you're always at my house?" Like, she never understood why he was always over there, and it was because he didn't have a family like Ashley, so that's kind of his take on it, I believe. And I get that to an extent, but and then he had to hear from Toby that he wanted to break up, that she wanted to break up with him, and she wanted to wait till after his birthday, but he said, you know what, just break up with me now. And the saddest part of the episode is he's like, he calls the pizza place, and he's like, yeah, the usual. Like, he calls that all the time to get pizza. That's really sad. I don't know why I think that episode was really sad. Out of all of season 1, I feel like that's one of the saddest. It's like, dang. Okay, episode 10, rumors and reputations. Okay, this one was an example of how rumors can really snowball. Like, it was so bad, honestly. Hold on. Can you say that? Okay. Uh, but this episode really showed how rumors can really snowball. Also shows Emma's nosy. Like, she didn't even know what was going on, and she just said, "I think." Like, bro, what? I'm sorry. This rumor was not good in basis at all. But it was Liberty and Mr. Armstrong. Liberty found out she had dyscalculia, and Mr. Armstrong was a math teacher, and he wanted to help her and was like, "Hey, you have dyscalculia, and numbers may look different to you, but hey, I'm here to help you because I'm your teacher." And yeah, that's what a good teacher is supposed to do. But the point that became a rumor is when Liberty was in the room or something, and um Armstrong put his arm around her and she looked sad or something, and Emma saw it. She was like, "Oh shoot, they sleeping together." But she was more like, "Oh my gosh, they're having a relationship." And then Terry heard it, and Terry told Paige, and Paige told Hazel, and then the whole story got skewed, like, messed up. It went from they're in a relationship to they were in the car together making out, and they were and it went to they're doing it in the back seat. It was it was insane. It really snowballed really fast, and that's a good example of how rumors can actually do that. Because, like, honestly, if you say one thing in high school or like middle school or anything in front of someone, and someone hears it and they take it out of context or something else, then they'll roll into something else, and then someone else will roll it, and it'll just keep going down this hill, and it goes down. It's like a boulder, it goes down, and just keeps going faster. But the B story is Spinner finding an insect in his lunch. I think this part's really funny because he already stated he didn't like the food. Oh my gosh, it's storming again. But he already stated he didn't like the food, and of course, if he already didn't like the food, and then he finds a bug in his food conveniently after he talks about how bad the food is, no one's gonna believe him, and no one did. And he figured out what bug it was, which honestly, I wouldn't have done any form of dedication. He figured out exactly what bug it was and put it in Ashley's food, which, bad strategy. He could have she could have gone up to, like, the bathroom or something, and he could have put it in her lunch. But no, don't put bugs in people's food. But I'm saying he could have done this a lot better. But he ends up having to work in the kitchen for 2 months because eventually they're like, bro, you put it in there. And either way, there was a bug in his food for real, but no one believed them. I just think it's funny. It's like a boy who cried wolf situation. Okay, episode 11. We're getting close to the season finale. We're like 4 away. There's 15 episodes in this season. Once we get to the season 10 and season past that, they get to like 40. I'm not doing 40 summaries, I feel. They get to like 22. I feel like I should summarize at least 2 episodes at a time to save time, you know. But since this one is 15, I feel like I should just go. What the heck? Season 1, episode 11. This is gonna be cut so much. So, okay, this is Sean and Emma's first date, the start of Sema. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. They go on a date, and like, it's one of those awkward first dates. Like, it is awkward. It's not awkward, but it's just, things keep happening. But obviously you can tell they both care for each other, and it's like, so cute. It was so adorable. So, like, I think this might have started Emma being vegan, because I'm pretty sure she ends up being vegan later on in the show. I'll insert a clip if I can find one, but, she eats a hamburger, and Sean talks about how he went to a farm, like his aunt's or uncle's farm over the summer, and was like, oh, they did not, like, the farm animals, the smell of, like, them being harvested and stuff was kind of gross, so I don't eat hamburgers anymore. And she had, like, ketchup on her chin. It was so bad. And then she lost her wallet, or thought she did. And then they dug through the trash. Well, Sean dug through the trash, and he was like, and then, you know what she did? After they dug through all the trash, she goes through her pocketbook, and finds her wallet. I was like, dang. But the dedication, I felt, like, Sean was a gentleman. He was full gentleman. I don't know if they saw the movie or not, but he didn't like hamburgers, and he didn't like the way they were, like, bread or anything. But he stuck his hand through garbage to find this woman's wallet and everything. And then there was the iconic picture of Sean and Emma's first date that Emma's mom took. And it was top tier. The B sideline, I think it's a B sideline, is why did I say Jimmer? Jimmy and Spinner get attacked by Miss Kwan.
Hey guys, this is Editing Unicorn. I kind of goofed and don't have the auto recording of that episode, but I think it was about Jimmy and Spinner and how Spinner was poor and things like that. I think that's what that episode was about. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video.
Episode 12. Okay. This episode made me really mad, I swear. It made me dislike Emma so much, and I still dislike Emma, honestly. She's kind of annoying. She gets only better, like, for, like, 1 season, and then she's, like, the same. But this episode is Manny wants to join the Spirit Squad, and Emma is like, well, you're a thought. You are a slut if you join the Spirit Squad. Like, okay. And she posted a thing in the newspaper about how the Spirit Squad were all sluts and stuff like that. I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but we got this iconic picture that can be used for memes. And I think the B storyline is JT, Toby, Liberty, and Spinner trying to win this Pringles contest where you get $1 million and be like, oh snap, you get $1 million, and that's kind of it. I think they ended up I think JT ended up not losing it, but realizing that the spades or something was like not what what he thought it was. He thought they got the same thing when they thought they were about to win the money, and that's kind of the end of that one. But that whole episode kind of made me a little mad, because of the way Emma was acting, and I was just like, sis, stop. It's not that serious. Like, just support her. She barely supports Manny in anything. Like, honestly, she rarely does. Anything Manny does that is not what Emma considers normal or considers in her own path of view, she barely supports. Okay. Episode 13. We're getting closer to the season finale of season 1. Okay. Ashley and Terry are writing a song, and Paige joins the group, and they're like, and I think Ashley wants to have this really sad song, or like sad sounding song, and Paige is like, no, we want people to dance. Let's dance, guys. And then Terry is like, I kind of want to dance the record too, and Ashley's like, wow, Terry, the traitor, but okay. And then they have a huge fight about that, and Paige, Michael, Chuck, and the Sex Kittens happen. Which is shortened later on to PMS, so that's what that means in the show. But this episode also showed the B storyline was Emma trying to make like a interpretive dance for like the talent show, and Toby was joined because Sean didn't want to do it. He was like, "This isn't my thing. You do you, boo. Bye." And Toby's like, "Hey, he can't be here, so let me be here for her." And JT in the background is just like, "You are a simp," but. But when they performed, I specifically remember when they performed and everything, people were laughing at them and made them feel bad. And then Sean was in the audience. He said, "Hey, shut up! They're doing their own thing. Shut up, bro!" And everyone just completely went silent. Like, that was good boyfriend material. Episode 14. Sean is worried and concerned that he will have the most. Why did I say that? Why do I have to read that aloud? Oh my gosh. I'm cutting that out. Okay, it's episode 14. Sean wants to repeat he's scared. Well, he doesn't want to. He's scared he's gonna repeat the 7th grade again. And he starts acting out because he's like, I'm so scared I'm going to repeat the 7th grade again. I feel like my grades are bad. I'm not gonna get anything. And the Beast, and I believe he fights Jimmy in this episode, and he accidentally pushes Emma, and Emma's like, "Oh, I stepped in the middle of a fight, but got pushed." Oh my god! Like, it was shocking to her that she got pushed in the middle of a fight. But anyways, in the Beast storyline, Spinner's trying to get sick so he can avoid the English exam, which. No, you don't. Even though you're gonna get, even if you get sick, you're gonna have to retake the exam. Like, that's how that works. Because Terry was sick that week, which honestly, Terry should not have come to school if she was sick. Stay home. But I think Spinner, took her cup or something and, took the rim and licked it or something with his finger. And then he tried to get sick, but it didn't work. And then at the end of the week, he got sick, and he had to miss the weekend, or there was a party or something, and he missed it because he got sick at the wrong time. All right, season 1 finale. Woo, 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 woo. Episode 15, Jagged Little Pill. This is the episode, guys. Ashley's throwing a party. Well, she's not throwing a party. She's having a summer party, but then later invites Jimmy and Spinner. And Spinner brings a watermelon. And JT and Toby and Sean are upstairs in Toby's room having a slumber party themselves. And Sean and Toby, JT brings ecstasy. And like Sean switches it with aspirin and gives it to Ashley and says, flush it down the toilet. And I guess people telling Ashley she was bland and she was trash and she was just not fun got to her head and she took the pill. Instead of flushing it down the toilet. And anyways, JC and Toby acted high, even though they didn't know they were not high. They just had an aspirin pill split in the middle, and they just thought they were taking ecstasy. But Ashley was acting all crazy when Jimmy and stuff got there, and she was, and I think they somehow got Emma and Manny to get there. I think it was because JT or something called, and Sean and they were in an argument, and Sean began to like get upset, and Ashley was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you, Sean? And he was like crying for the first time ever in the show. Like, Sean never cries ever, except in like season 4, and that's kind of it. He never really cries like that. And he was crying in that episode because Emma would not talk to him, and Emma was not having anything to do with him because he pushed her in the middle of that fight, which, come on now. And Ashley and Sean, and I don't think they slept together. I think they just were making out. And then Jimmy goes to look for Ashley, and he stumbles upon Sean coming out of her room, and then everything erupts. And Sean and Ashley is talking smack to everybody. Paige, Jimmy, Spinner. She's leaving nobody a victim. Nobody is left standing. And then everyone leaves, and then later on, she loses all her friends because of this, and they just don't talk to her for a long time, and she gets really upset, and I think in her school picture she was crying, which is pretty sad. I'm not gonna say I hate Ashley. I dislike Ashley, but I didn't like seeing her this, like, that bad, like, because, and Terry wouldn't even talk to her. It was really sad, and honestly, she was under the influence, so I don't know how you could really call her the most, like, cognitive brain function there. She was under the influence of a drug, and kind of everything was happening, so I don't know how that happened. Now we're on to season 2. We're gonna start doing 2 summaries each thing, so yeah. Now we get my boy Craig up in here. I just like Craig, but I like his actor, so his entrance is fire, though. I'm not even gonna lie. He brings top tier to the performance. Episodes 1 and 2 are part 1 and part 2 of When Doves Cry, and this is Craig's, this is like his introduction to the cast, and I think they added another person in the cast. Oh yeah, they added Ellie. In the cast in season 2, and those are the new people. But in episode 1 and 2, Craig lives with his dad, and Craig's mom was married to Joey, who is, if you saw in season 1, was part of the original cast of Degrassi. But and they had Joey and Craig's mom had a daughter named Angela, and Craig's first introduction is him taking a picture of Angela at a playground, because that's the only time he can actually see her without his dad interfering, because his mom left his dad because his dad is abusive, and the dad didn't. I think he got that, but he didn't. He just thought the mom left a doctor for a car salesman, and he did not understand. And whenever Craig would get home, if anything was off by a centimeter, he would just get ripped to shreds. He would get beaten really badly. And he was friends with Sean when he first got to Degrassi. That friendship kind of phased out, which I'm sad about. But the only reason they figured out that Craig was being abused and stuff like that was when Craig and Sean were hanging out. And I think Craig said something about, hey, does your dad ever beat you or something? Or, like, it was, like, something like, does your dad ever spank you or, like, beat you, like, really badly? And Sean's like, no, does yours? And he's like, what? No, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he just runs, and he ran away. And I think he was playing chicken with the train, and he was trying to get hit. He wasn't, I don't know if he was trying, but he was gotta see if he can jump out further from the train. He was standing in front of the train, and it was coming, and Sean was like, bro, get out of the way, get out of the way. And then he pushed him, and Craig ran away, and Sean was like, what is wrong with this man? And at some point, Sean put the pieces together. It was like, I think his dad is abusing him. And things really come, like, to head when, I think, I don't know, I can't remember if it was, like, and it might have been him taking Angela somewhere. He was trying to take Angela to, like, a Canadian place. I'm gonna put it on the screen somewhere. And Joey got mad because obviously you're not gonna take his child, even though you are her brother. You're not just gonna take his child without his permission. And like, then he started acting all crazy, I guess. And at some point, Joey finds him in the cemetery and is like, "I miss your mom too." And then they're like, and he has a talk with him. He says, "Your dad's abusive, man. I can take care of you, and I can take you into my house, and it's just, I'm gonna take you to get your stuff. Don't talk to him too much, and that'll be it." I think one of the saddest part of this episode was when he was in the park with Angela, and he was like playing with her, and she touched his bruise that the dad left on him the other night, and he goes, "Ow," and he said, and she asked him, "What's that?" And he said, "A dragon. It fireballed me." And he was playing with her, and then when they were looking for Craig later on, Angela and Sean goes, "I think his dad is beating him," and Angela goes, "Oh, the bruise, that's from the dragon. That's where the dragon bit him." And everyone was like, "Shh, he might actually be getting abused right now." And it's just kind of sad to me because, like, because Angela did not know what on earth was going on, but everyone else did. And it's like, he's getting hurt and beat at home, and none of them knew, and they just thought Craig was a normal kid, or like, I mean, he is a normal kid, but they just thought that his dad was just kind of strict, and they didn't really think that he was beating him. Okay, episode 3 and 4. 3 is about girls just want to have fun. 4 is Karma Chameleon, and episode 3 centers around Spike dating Mr. Simpson and Emma finding out and being weird about it because it's always been her and her mom, never her mom and another guy. It's never been that way, so obviously it'd be a little weird. And Mr. Simpson is her teacher, so she felt a little weird about that. And then at some point she got a little bit more comfortable and was like, okay, man, okay. And I think they were trying to get into the senior dance, and this part was hilarious to me because at this point no one was going after Manny like that. Even though Manny is sought after later in the series, she's not really the one people are going after like that. But at the dance, they both like Craig. And Craig helps them crash into the senior dance, and Emma thinks Craig is gonna ask her to dance, and Manny thinks that he's gonna ask Emma to dance because Emma's the one who's always been asked out and stuff like that at this point. But then Craig goes up to Manny and goes, "You wanna dance?" And I was like, "Gee, Emma, go home." But I was like, that's a dub, and that starts Manny's whole Craig thing, which I never understood. He was okay in the first season he was in, but after that, I didn't really think he was that cute. I guess my opinion. But the 4th episode is about Ashley dealing with the aftermath of her party. Like I said, she's basically exiled, and stuff like that. But she somehow she apologized and got them back, and then Jimmy obviously still was like in love with her, and he wanted to go out with her. He thought they were about together or something like that. And Ashley goofed it all up and asked Sean on a date when Jimmy was assuming, or he asked her out or something, or was talking about them. And Sean and her are about to go on a date, and everyone finds out, and they're like, she's the same girl. She's never been different. Like, she didn't change at all. She's still the same scum Ashley. And then they exile her again. And the B storyline is Toby and Kendra. Now, Kendra is a good character that just got black holed. She was into anime like Toby. She was into computers like Toby. But we find out that Kendra is Spinner's sister. Oof. But she's also a grade 7 and they're grade 8. Oh, also, forgot to mention that at season 2, they combined high school and the junior high, so now the grade 7 and 8s are now in the same school with the grade 9s. That's how we're still keeping up with Spinner and Jimmy and all of them. They're grade 9s at this point, and Toby, Emma, and JT and Manny are all grade 8s, so like they're not in high school yet. I forgot to mention that. But anyways, episode 5 and 6 are Weird Science and Drive. And Emma wants to win the science fair. But since Mr. Simpson is, like, judging the contest, she's like, I don't think I'm gonna win. But she ends up winning, and then Liberty finds out how she won. She figured out that Mr. Simpson and Spike were dating, and thought it was favoritism, which honestly, I would think that too, from a kid's perspective. If you thought your project was going to win, and then someone else wins, and you find out they're related to somebody else, they're like, that their mom is dating one of the judges, I would be a little skeptic too. I'd be like, are you sure you won on skill, or did you win on that your mommy's dating the judge? But Spinner goes through, like, puberty, or he thinks bananas are causing him to go through puberty, and he gets a lot of erections. I don't like that word. I don't like that word. Why did I say that? But anyways, he gets a lot of those things, and it attracts girls, and girls are more attracted to him now, and he thinks it's because he's been eating fruit, which didn't happen. He was just going through puberty because he's in 9th grade. Because he's in grade 9, so, yeah. Episode 6, Joey leaves, and Craig, invites the guys over, and I think Marco was introduced in this season too. But also Joey owns a used cars lot, so they were like, hey, what if we take one of his cars and, like, drive it around? And honestly, it was a good, solid plan, I believe, but, badly executed. But they end up driving it for a joyride, and that's kind of the end of that. Eventually, they get caught because there's a silent alarm, and Joey comes home and finds that one of the cars was taken, and was like, bro, why'd you take one of my cars? Why? I think the B storyline is Ashley and Ellie, and Ashley wants a belly piercing, but she doesn't want the belly piercing. She just wants to impress Ellie, and she thought her mom was gonna say no, and her mom said, sure, why not? She was like, it's over for me. And she was down bad. She was so scared. Alright. Oh my gosh. There's like 22 episodes in this. I'm at episodes 7 and 8. 7 and 8 Shout, which is the episode. It's about Paige. It's part 1 and part 2. It's about Paige and Dean. If you catch the drift. Dean ends up Paige wants Dean, or she wants to be with Dean, like her boyfriend, and that's not what Dean wants. Dean wants something quick, and that's kind of what he got. And she goes to this party, and he takes advantage of her, and now she has to live with it. And these 2 episodes are like, one episode is what happens, and then the next episode is like the aftermath and how she feels terrible, and she feels like to blame and stuff like that. But then they write a song, or they have like have like a band or something, and they play this song that Ashley wrote because Dean was in the audience, and Dean was just sitting there staring at her like a psychopath, and then she sings the song that's genuinely about him and about victims of being taken advantage of. And it makes him uncomfortable when he leaves. And I was like, yes, Paige Michael Chuck, do it, girl. Yes, sis. Oh my gosh. Okay. 9 and 10. Mirror in the bathroom and take my breath away. Okay, Mirror in the bathroom is about Toby wanting to be like Sean because he realizes Sean is popular on the wrestling team, but Toby isn't because he's on the computer team. So he tries to get better or tries to be thin, and he ends up getting an eating disorder, which isn't talked about much. But he like barfs and stuff, and JT figured out he was having an eating disorder, and he told him he should eat, and then at the wrestling competition he faints, and he like gets kicked off the team because he was trying to make weight. But that's that episode. That episode was pretty good because it was one of the first I saw about a guy getting an eating disorder. And I think that's pretty good because they never really show that dudes can get it too. And honestly, that's like really powerful. It's really good. Episode 10 is Take My Breath Away. So, huh, huh. Um, so Craig and Manny asked Craig out because she was like, "I'm woman. I can do it all by myself, sis. I can do this." And then later on, Craig, they go on the date, and Craig is like, that date was awful. It was so bad. And there's like two stories. Manny thinks the date went so good. She was like, I'm in love with this boy right now. I am so in love with him, and he loves me too. We're gonna be together forever. And Craig is like, I never want to go on a date with her ever again. That was terrible. I feel like it was the worst date I've ever been on. And Manny gets all possessive when they aren't even dating and stuff like that. And then the B storyline is Marco. Ellie wants to Ellie has a crush on Marco, and she writes anonymously to him and is like, I want to date you and stuff like that. And it's like a secret code or something. And Marco thinks it's Hazel, and Ellie's like, no, it's me, you blockhead. But it doesn't matter anyways. Marco's gay, so I really should put spoiler warning. I didn't put a spoiler warning up here. Okay, 11 and 12. Never mind, because 12 is a like part 2, part 1 situation. So don't believe hype is just gonna be on its own. Hazel. So this is one of the only episodes we ever get about Hazel Aden. Okay, so Hazel is like, okay, Hazel. I don't know how to describe this. Okay. Hazel like makes fun of this Muslim girl in their school for wearing a hijab and stuff. And later on, you find out it's more like a self-hatred type thing. Because Hazel, you find out later, is Muslim herself. And at her old school, she was getting bullied and everything because she wore a hijab. And she was getting tortured by this girl and everything. And she took that out on the other girl, which is wrong. And it was like a self-hatred type situation kind of thing. And I think that was a good Hazel episode. And sadly, that was the only Hazel episode we will ever get in this entire show. She never gets another episode centered around her. I don't think she does. She has like episodes with other people, but she never has her own episode like this one. And she like lied about where she was from. She said she was from Jamaica when she was really from like another country. Oh my god, I'm not gonna even try because I'm gonna mess it up. I don't remember the name, but it was a good episode nonetheless. Episode 12 and 13 is the White Wedding. Spike and Snake are about to get married. Snake and Spike, Emma's mom, Snake, Mr. Simpson, they're about to get married. And Emma's freaking out because she's like, oh my gosh, my hair isn't done. And Manny wants to invite Sean, but Emma's like, no. But Manny invites Sean anyways, and then I think Sean ended up coming after like a lot of mixed messages, and they were just there together, being cute, being adorable, and then that was kind of it. The wedding was pretty good. It was pretty nice, and we also find out Spike is pregnant. Girl, oh my gosh, I swear, they just be tapping it raw. They just be going, like, and then they'd be like, whoa, there's a baby now. Like, I don't know. Careless Whisper, okay, 14 and 15. Careless Whisper and Hot for Teacher. Oh my gosh, wait. Okay. Okay, so I think Marco tells Ellie that he's gay in this episode. And is like, you're pretty, but I don't like you like that, so I don't really know what to say here. And Ellie's like, huh. And I think the B storyline is Toby and Kendra. And Toby's like suffocating Kendra. He wants to be with her all the time. He pops up at her classroom. He pops up at her locker. Like, give this woman a little time and space to breathe. Golly, are you gonna take her breaths too, Toby? But I guess it was the first girl that liked him or saw him as someone who was cute, and he was just latched. He was like latched onto it. He was like leeching onto her. 15 is Hot for Teacher. This has to do with Miss Hatsalakos and JT. And JT at first, he's like saying, Miss Hatsalakos, ooh, she's a hottie. I'm about to spend my days with Miss Hatsalakos. And then he gets like detention or something with her because he did something in her class that was stupid, and she was like, all right, you're cleaning out the guinea pig cages. And he's like, dang, I'm sorry, Miss Hatsalakos, but that was really my plan all along. I'm trying to get you all alone. Let me stop. But he ends up actually like realizing that he actually like likes researching guinea pigs and stuff. And they figure out, and him and Miss Hatsalakos figure out like the guinea pig is pregnant, and then he does a whole lot of research and figures out some stuff about the guinea pig so he can educate himself, which I thought was so good, and I was like, dang. And then I think they were like hanging out, they were being like nice and everything to each other, and then JT, being a little boy and an immature little boy, he was like, he put balloons on her shirt and made it seem like he was in Miss Hatsalakos, and Miss Hatsalakos saw him, was like, I'm kind of hurt. I thought we were at least friendly or something to each other. I thought you were a good student and you just were misunderstood. And she's personally hurt by it. And he ends up trying to transfer out of her class, but then he doesn't do that in the end. But the guinea pigs give birth, and they're like bonding again, and we figure out why Miss Hatsalakos became a teacher and not a model, because she is quick. But we figure out that she wanted to be a teacher all her life, and she just wanted to help people and so on. 16 and 17 is Message in a Bottle and Relax, and Jimmy and Sean both both go for the basketball team, like the fresh start, the new year, new basketball team. So they basically just try to bury the hatchet and be like, okay, we can be friends or something. It doesn't matter. We don't have to be best friends, but we gotta get along so we don't do this again. And, so we don't do any of this stuff again where I'm hurt again and all that. And they're kind of friends and stuff. And they're friends in a way, and Jimmy has a party, and Sean and Emma are a thing again, and they're like, but then Sean is getting stressed and at the party, Jimmy has. Jimmy has a baller mansion, like a baller house. So because his parents are loaded, and so they have the party there, and Jimmy hopes to see Ashley, which he was hoping for, and he invited her, and he was like, if she wants to come, she can come, and I mean, I'm not gonna be mad if she goes, but whatever. And then Sean ends up drinking at Jimmy's party and gets drunk, and then smashes glasses, and that ruins Jimmy and Sean's new friendship. Yeah, and basically, Emma's mom had to pick Sean and Emma up, and that was kind of it. So relax. Liberty is the manager of the hockey team. She takes it a little too far, and is like, and everyone ends up quitting, and then everyone comes back, and that's kind of it. 18 and 19, dressed in black, and fight for your right. Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. This is an episode I cannot stand Ashley in. Okay, let me breathe. Dressed in Black was like Jimmy and Ashley are back together, and they're just like, we are so happy. You're a happy couple. And Ashley is emo now, and she looks different than how she did in the beginning. And Jimmy, I think he put both of her pictures up, or it was something stupid. But he said I don't think he told her that, but he had her old picture up because obviously if that's the only picture he has of you and you're dating again, he's gonna put it in his locker. But then she gives him another picture and he puts it up in the locker next to the old picture. And he goes, well, more pictures of you the better, and kisses her. And she's like, well, don't you want to take the other picture down? And I'm just like, it makes me think, why? Okay, if he likes the old you, that's nice. If he likes the new you, that's nice. If he still wants to be with you, and it doesn't matter how many pictures he has of you in his locker, at least he has pictures of you in his locker. At least he isn't trash and didn't throw away those pictures. He still like really liked you, and he probably had those pictures up in his locker the whole time. But then I think they end up breaking up because he liked her old look, and Jimmy's like, I don't get it, but okay. And it was the most dramatic scene. It was so dramatic, but I thought it was so funny. I don't know why I thought it was funny, but it was dramatic and funny at the same time. But the big storyline is JT and Toby had the sex education lady come, or Mr. Armstrong talked to them because the lady couldn't come, but Toby's thinking about doing it with Kendra, but obviously they're a little too young, and Spinner ends up finding out because he busts a locker full of condoms, and he's like, and JT said, those are my condoms, and he said, if they're not your condoms, and he immediately realizes they're probably Toby's, and he's probably gonna try to do it with his sister. But eventually they don't actually do anything together, and I think they both ended up they both tried to beat up Toby. I don't think they ended up beating him up. By both, I mean Kendra and Spinner. Fight for Your Right is when it's an episode about It's about Emma protesting against genetically modified food, and Radish is like, no. And they have a food fight, and there's a food fight, and she gets suspended, but she goes back to school, and she's not supposed to be in school, and everyone gets kind of mad, and it's just like, and she never apologized, and I don't know how this one ended. I kind of forgot. And Spinner is, and this is an episode where, this is one of the only episodes I didn't really like Jimmy's take on this, but they made fun of Spinner for being, like, poorer than them, which is stupid in its own. He can't control that Jimmy was born with money, and Jimmy's parents have money, and Spinner's parents do not have money, because Spinner has a single mom. because we later learned that Spinner's dad died from cancer, and so his mom is the only sole provider they have in the house. And obviously, that's kind of why they probably have a little bit less money than what Jimmy has, because Jimmy has two parents and both parents work, and they're always constantly working. So that's kind of that. And I think Spinner ended up stealing his MP3 player, and they stopped talking to him for a little bit. And I just thought, I think he was a little too extreme to take the MP3 player? Yes. But, I don't think Jimmy should have made fun of, Spinner for wearing the same hoodie. If he's wearing the same hoodie, he's wearing the same hoodie. Just don't think about it. If, it's like, I don't know, things like these make me kind of angry. Cause it's like, they can't exactly control that their parents don't have a lot of money and that they can't afford to get themselves a new hoodie. If the hoodie still fits, obviously they're gonna keep wearing it. So I don't really see the point of that. I'm just gonna episode 20 because episode 21 and 22 are like episodes together. Yeah. Episode 20 is How Soon Is Now, and Paige is like. So no one knows except for Hazel that Paige was taking advantage of that night. And so the team that was playing the team that Dean was on was like Bardell, and they played Degrassi in basketball, and Spinner didn't know either, so I wouldn't call him at fault. But Spinner and I think Spinner told Paige, go meet your boyfriend or something like that, cause she stood him up for that party where Dean was, and later on I think she tells JT why she doesn't want to cheerlead because this terrible guy is there and he was terrible and he's just bad, and she was like, and later on JT figures out. I think she tells him. I don't think he figured out, but I'm pretty sure she tells him in like the outside. And JT is a mascot, and he gets on the court and he starts beating up Dean. And it was a sweet gesture, but he got detention. And Spinner realizes something is up because JT wouldn't just do that for no reason. And Spinner later realizes something wrong happened that night, and it didn't go exactly how he thought it did, where she wanted it. He thought she wanted it, but in reality she didn't. And he ends up comforting her and stuff like that. And I was like, this is so sweet. Episode 20 and 22. These are the last two episodes of the season. They're part 1 and part 2, and so there's a dance, and Craig is asking Ashley out to the dance, I believe, and Craig's dad comes, like, oh my gosh, Craig's dad comes in and stuff like that, and comes back into his life and is like, hey, kiddo, why don't you live with me again? I'm better, I promise, I am better, I promise. And so he's contemplating because they have dinner and things like that, and nothing bad is happening yet until one day they're like in an argument and they're outside and Craig's dad just full on hits him onto the concrete, and he realizes his dad didn't really change, and his dad I think he got angry or he like backed away and he went to his car, and Craig was screaming at him on the highway, and he zoomed onto the road and he got hit by another car and instantly died. And I don't think that's what happened. I'm thinking of another movie. Sorry, guys. What happened was he was screaming and his dad was going away, and then Craig comes home with a scar on his face and he goes, "Oh, I tripped and fell." Yeah. And then in the morning, some cops come to Joey's house because he tells them that that Craig's dad died last night in a car accident, and that he now can have like money, he can have inheritance and things like that. And then Craig is happy that his dad is gone, but he's sad at the same time because his dad abused him, but it's still his dad. So he was like, I don't know. And so at the school, I'm just gonna say this now, Degrassi, the school just tell everybody's tea. Like, goodness, what if they didn't want to tell anyone? But they told Mr. Simpson told Craig's class that Craig's dad got in an accident and died, and that that Craig wasn't gonna be back for the rest of the semester. And then Craig walks in the door and he's like, "What's good, y'all? What's good? What's poppin'?" And they're just like, "Oh my god." I don't know why I think that is so funny. And eventually they get to the dance, and Craig thinks he sees his dad, and then at some point, Terry comes to comfort him because Terry lost her mom, and she knew how to deal with the loss of a parent, and Craig cried about his dad dying, which I thought was very interesting because you think that because the dad was abusive, he wouldn't care that he was dead, but I guess he was like, he's still his dad, so obviously he felt some sort of way about his dad dying. Okay, we finished the summaries, which honestly was kind of long, sorry guys, but now we're on to my in-depth thoughts. Okay, season 1 and season 2. Okay, they're not high schoolers yet, or anything like that yet. So a lot of their stuff can be done for immaturity purposes, like Spinner taking the MP3 player. Those can be a lot of immature responses. And as you can see in the series, Spinner is really immature. Later on in the series, like, he gets really immature. But anyways, so what was I gonna say? Oh my gosh. Season 1 and season 2 were good. And I'm just gonna say this, I dislike Emma. She is... I will dislike her for a lot of parts of the show. The only time I give her a pass is season 4 because of the whole Rick thing, and I'm just like, that's traumatic. But, Manny and everyone are pretty good, and I just feel like season 2 is really good when it comes to acting. Like, season 1, they're kind of stiff, kind of weird. But season 2 is a lot better. And, I think that I feel like Ashley being emo in the second season was so terrible. It's not even the fact that she's emo. It was her hair that messed with me the whole time. I just didn't like the hair choice. It was not her thing. And someone should have told her that. Like, that should have been something people said. I also like in season 2, they brought more, like, serious issues. Even though season 1 had a lot of serious issues, they didn't have as much of it as season 2 did. Like, the first episodes of season 2 were about abuse. And I was like, dang. Like, it was a lot. But I think that, a lot of the characters and everyone need room to mature. They're so immature when it comes to these things, to a lot of stuff, so it's like, I don't know how to gauge them. But when you get later on into the season, and like, some of them do the same things over and over and over again, that's a pattern of behavior. When you're like in the 7th and 8th grade, or like, and stuff like that, you're just figuring out who you are, and you're trying to deal with your body going all over the place, and you're just like, I'm growing, I don't understand why this is happening, why is this happening, and you're just trying to deal with all that, so that's also a factor, and then their minds are going crazy, and things like that. Which episode was I was gonna talk about who's my favorite character of this entire, show right now, depending on seasons. I'm a little biased, so I'm gonna go with Sean. He's a good guy. I feel like he's a good guy in his heart. He is. And he will do anything, almost anything to protect Emma. And the fact that he only ever cried when the only time he cried, he's only cried 2 times in this series, I think. And the first time he cried was because Emma would not talk to him. And that was like, dang, he must really, really love her. Because even in season 4, when Rick stuff happens, and Rick points it at Emma, and Emma sees her life flashing before her eyes, Sean does not think. He looks at Emma and sees that she's terrified and grabs it and just goes to action. Like, Mans was in full effect all the time for Emma, and I'm just like, oh my god, I don't understand. And he's also a good guy in fundamentals. Like, whenever he was fighting with Jimmy, it was mainly because Jimmy started it, honestly. Jimmy's treatment of Sean was kind of trash. He always used to say, well, we have a 7th grade part, we have an 8th grade party, but you can come along, even though you a 7th grader and all. Like, see, that was subliminal shade. Like, don't do that. That's not cool. That's not very nice. But after a while, Jimmy becomes my favorite character, so I'm a lot aside. My least favorite character of this whole episode, seasons 1 and 2, was maybe Emma. Mainly because of that cheerleading episode. It formed my opinion so fast. Because how are you gonna get mad at somebody who wants to try something new? It's just gymnastics. I'm not gonna say cheerleading is gymnastics. It's a mixture of gymnastics and like something else. But how are you gonna get mad at somebody for trying something new when you can't even accept that? Like, it may have been a subconscious thing, like her thinking, oh, she's gonna leave me and we're not gonna be best friends anymore, and she's gonna be friends with all the popular kids. I'm gonna be lonely. That might have been something that was going on in her head. That would be at least to explain some of the things she was doing, but it was still trash. Like, she didn't need to make Manny feel bad because she didn't want to accept that her best friend might be leaving her. But honestly, if you made me feel like trash for trying something for telling you something I really want to do, that's not gonna make me want to be your friend any longer, honestly. So that's that. I feel like my summary is pretty good for this season, for these seasons. Hopefully I make episode 3 and 4, seasons 3 and 4 at some point. I do want to release a gaming video soon, so I hope you guys enjoy this video, and yeah, just smash the like button, and subscribe and watch other videos that I've made that are pretty good. So peace.
So back onto the video.